Peace. What's up, y'all? This is Phil James. It's Tuesday. It's January 9th. And it's 2018. So I am extremely tired. Got my ass kicked today. This guy right here, since my normal job has not been panning out the way I thought it should or would be, I had to go roof today, and I'm not the fan of roofing at all, not even slightly. And I also despise heights and climbing ladders, and I had to do all of the above today. So, pretty tired, pretty beat up, pretty sore and exhausted, and I'm doing it again tomorrow. So, that's how my day was. Thankfully, though, to be positive, on a good note, the guy I worked with, he's actually a really, really good friend of mine, so that, always helps when you're doing something you don't like, but you have a friend doing it with you, you know what I mean, or whatever. So definitely pretty awesome that, working with a close friend, that's always a good thing. So, on to the article here. Melting glaciers aren't just causing sea levels to rise, they're causing the ocean floor to sink. Yes, you're reading that contradictive news article title correctly. Absolutely insane. Absolute BS. Absolutely just bullshit. That's exactly what it is. How, first off, these asshats could even claim that the sea floor is sinking due to the added water weight is unbelievable as it is. You mean to tell me that they're capable of figuring that out? Hell no. Also, I just want to throw it out there. Look at the nice fisheye lens used for that picture. They want to give you the idea that that sea is curving, that water is curving to stick to a sphere. Well, guess what? If you go take a picture with a normal camera, you will never see that, because it's not possible. Water is flat, it remains flat when unmanipulated. Yeah, sea level. So anyways, the point that I'm making here is all these jackass people nowadays seem to think that sea levels are rising through the roof. And I'm sorry, I guess I shouldn't have said jackass people. I'm sorry. A lot of people believe what they're told. And there's a lot of compartmentalization, and, people only know what they need to know. And then we're only shown what they want us to see. So, when looking at this, and this story, when you get articles like this that are absolutely insane, that make no sense whatsoever, you kind of just have to ask yourself, what the hell is going on? Because here's my point. Now, they want to talk about how sea levels are rising through the roof, and how the great masses of ice on Earth are breaking off into small fragments. Well, massive fragments, just small compared to the size of the Earth, supposedly, and floating around the thousands of square miles of ocean. Well, when those glaciers break off, supposedly, and they're bouncing and bobbing around in the ocean water, all that added weight to the liquid bodies of water supposedly makes the ocean floor sink. Now, in my opinion, that makes absolutely no sense, and that this whole article is a joke. Because if sea levels are rising, but the sea floor is sinking, wouldn't that cancel each other out, essentially? You know what I mean? They're saying it's only like 0.2 millimeters a year or some shit. And so then they go on to say that, since like 1995, the sea floor has only sank 2.5 millimeters and all this and that. But either way, in my opinion, that's absolute horse shit. There's no way that any scientist could measure the drop of the seafloor. You know what I mean? There's no way they could measure that and know. Especially if what they, are looking at, the sea level, the water, the surface of the ocean is rising at the same time. So that means the thickness of the water around the earth on average is getting thicker. That's what this article is claiming. But at the same time, the water's getting higher and the seafloor is getting lower at the same time. See, so when I get stories like this, I'm like, dude, this is absolute horse shit. It's absolute bullshit. They want to blame climate change. They want to blame, global warming because the average temperature of the earth has gone up by what they say is 1.6%. I'm sorry. The average temperature of the earth has gone up by 1.6 degrees Fahrenheit, supposedly. And, so that's the automatic cause, without a doubt, in their statements, in their research papers. But, once again, I have a problem with that. We just had the most brutally savage of all winter starts ever on the eastern side of America. We've had absolutely freezing cold temperatures until today, which actually ended up getting like what it felt like 40 degrees in the sun at least. And, I have a very hard time believing stories like this. I'm going to leave a link in the description below just so you guys can check out these two articles. So here's the second one. Same thing, same story essentially, just one of these articles has a little more details and the other one says other stuff, variations. So I wanted to make sure I threw in two so you guys could read it and take it with your best judgment, or take it with your biggest grain of salt. But yeah, so they're claiming that the ocean thickness is the ocean's getting thicker all the way around the earth, and the seabed is sinking, the ocean surface is rising, yet all the people that live on coastal regions haven't really seen any water level rise. Richie from Boston being one of them. I had a subscriber say that Florida's coastal regions had rised. And I'm not going to tell him he's wrong. If you watch this video, dude, you know who you are. You can throw your name in the comments if you would like. I'm not saying you're wrong, and I'm not saying that you're making it up or anything. I'm just saying that I personally don't know, because I don't live on a coast. But what I can say is, from the first-hand experiences and first-hand views that I receive, water and sea level has not risen whatsoever. Also, with that being said, the oil rig workers haven't noticed any differences, and they're surrounded by water. So what's going on? Well, obviously the news likes to put out fear, and when they do it, it ends up being a perpetual fear machine. So then they contradict stories, their fear stories, with more fear, as you can tell with a story like this. So it's literally fear porn, scare the world into doing whatever, and then scare them again with a story that completely contradicts everything that's been said prior. And people still buy it. Global warming is not a real thing. Climate change, on the other hand, is real. But the only reason climate change is happening is because 2017 was the year of tragedy all around the world, it seemed. And 2017 also just so happened to be the very same year that the powers that be, the powers that should not be, decided they were going to come out and tell us that they are going to geoengineer the shit out of the earth to manipulate the amount of sun we get, to manipulate the weather and cool the surface of the earth. Now, you think that if humans are tampering with such said systems, that there's not going to be some sort of natural backlash? I mean, come on. Every time humans touch anything that's a natural system or cycle, some backlash happens. You know, some sort of consequence comes from it. So that's exactly, you know, what's happening with climate change. We are genetically engineering and genetically modifying and geoengineering everything in nature. So, of course, nature is going to backlash. It's the way it is. But yeah, I just wanted to show this these contradictive BS articles that I think are absolute horse shit. Figured other people need to see them, so wanted to make a video on it. And yeah, hope everybody's having a good night. I'm about to chill and relax because I am beat. Alright, y'all. Phil James, and I'm out. Peace, y'all.